welcome to Topper Machine. I'm Josh Topper. So today's job is threading, and it's not just little threads, it's big threads. It's 2-inch, 4.5 thread per inch bolts. These are big bolts for rock crushers, and I generally don't do a lot of coarse thread. In fact, the course of my career, over 20 years, I've done very little of coarse thread of this large. So I ran the first bolt the other day, and it went really well. It was 12 inches of thread, and so then I ran the second one and started filming it. Well, went to edit the first batch of shots and found out my microphone battery died. So I reached out to Mike Rowe to hopefully have him narrate it, but I haven't heard back. So we're gonna go ahead and just reshoot everything, and we're gonna do the next batch of these threads. Now, the next batch is 24 inches long, and a friend of mine told me, well, he says, do 12 inches, slide it out of the chuck, and then do the next 12 inches, recatch the thread and do the second 12. I want to do something different today. I have never used a follow rest. So we're going to set up the follow rest and try to figure out how it works and do the 24 inches in a single pass. Now I'm going to run this fairly slow because that's sticking out a long ways, and there's a little bit of wobble to it, so I don't want to run it fast, but I'm going to center drill this end and be ready to get it all set up to start cutting. Now you saw that outboard end there wobbling pretty good, and that's why I'm running this so slow to do the center drilling, because I don't want it flailing like that. And then once we get it up to where we can get it in the lathe, we'll just sling it out a lot further towards the tailstock, since the follow rest should take up the difference. And we'll go ahead and put our center in, since that's our next step, is to get this thing ready for threading. Now, it's not that I've never needed a follow rest or never wanted to use one. I've had plenty of instances where a follow rest would have been really handy. The problem always was I've never had a lathe that had one, and the line comes standard with it, so that's a nice feature. So we'll go ahead and get our bar slid out and get everything set up. Now I got to thread 2 feet, which comes to here, and I want about 32 inches actually sticking out, which comes to there. So we'll slide it back through. And that'll give me clearance for the the follow rest and everything, and a little bit of room just in case. Now, I didn't snug that up yet because I got to move everything down. So we'll do that next. And we'll go ahead and snug down the chuck. And tighten up our tailstock just to make sure it ain't going anywhere. All right, so since I've never actually used one of these before, this is going to be interesting. And as far as I understand, you just run them up just a touch. And these got nice wide running surface on them, so it shouldn't be too bad. We're just going to try it right there, just see what it looks like. And we are touching a little bit, but I want to slow it down too. For this course of thread, I don't want to run it too fast. I'm going to actually run it 63 RPM. We'll just see how it looks. And actually, it looks pretty good, but I'm wondering if I shouldn't tighten it up just a little more, and I guess we'll try a couple cuts and see what it looks like. We may have to adjust it. Okay, so we're on this chart here, which is this selector lever just to the chooses which chart you're on for which gear speed. You've got so many threads capabilities with this thing. It's just incredible, but we need to be on a D2, so we'll go ahead and shift that. So right now I'm on a C1, we got to shift to a D2. And then over here is our inch and metric threading lever. And that pretty much, for the most part, stays in inch, but I'll get into the metric stuff eventually. All right, so let's start this up, and like I said, we'll probably be adjusting our follow rest as we go, but we'll just see how it cuts to start with. The first thing I always do is I take my threading tool and I chamfer the end of the bar. I like that start chamfer. Just makes it easier in the end, and it gives it a nice, that 30-degree chamfer on the threads. I haven't had a customer complain about that yet. All right, so since we're at the end of our bar, we'll go ahead and zero our digital readout. And then I'm going to move it down 24 inches. Next, I'm going to set the dial indicator, because that will, watching the clock dial actually will help me. I want to back off my thread at the end of the thread instead of just cutting a ring all the way around, so this will help me do that. Okay, so we want to back out or set our compound at 0, and I'm set at 29.5 degrees, and I just want to touch off, back out, zero my digital readout again for the cross slide, and we're going to turn our coolant on, get that going, because we're going to want the coolant. Just not only for lubrication of the follow rest, but for the cutter. I'm going to turn in my compound 50 to start with. and engage. That looks like it's actually working really well. I see I'll have to get a little more lighting in here. I got some backlight I can put on this. That'll help a lot for the camera. But all in all, this looks like it's working really well. And we're taking a pretty heavy cut right off the bat. And we're coming into our indicator. Go ahead and take it all the way back to the beginning. Oh, if my work light don't hit stuff. And there is our first pass. That is 2 feet of 4.5 pitch thread. And hopefully that backlighting is working good. All right, we'll go ahead and get the next pass going. Kill that work light that was shining directly in my eyes, because it isn't doing us a whole lot of good. And 0. I'm going to take another 20. That might be too much. These coarse threads, you got to take a lot lighter cut. And catch my number, and away we go. But that looks pretty good. Until we break an insert, and that's always a possibility. We're coming up to the end. I'll just watch my indicator and back it off when I get to my spot. Stop. And head all the way back to the beginning. I hope you guys are enjoying these camera angles. They're really hard to set up. And looks like this is an interesting angle. And it doesn't look like the tripod's going to hit anything. Always makes it fun. It looks like that follow rest is performing beautifully right where I put it. And we're making some nice slinkies. approaching the end of the thread. Back it out, disengage, and back to the beginning. I'm just going to keep chewing away at this. You know, it's not beneath me to admit when I don't know something, and I don't do a lot of really coarse threads. I mean, that 90% of what I do is 12 pitch, and that's, you know, that's pretty fine. And even that 8 pitch I did, that's really on the coarse side of a lot of stuff that I do. So if anybody has any tips or pointers on doing this with the follow rest and these coarse threads, I'm all ears. Go ahead and make suggestions and comment away. Like I said, I'm not too proud to admit I don't know something. And I'm, you know, in this business, you learn something new every day. Alright, so I sped up to 90 RPM, and that actually seemed to help with the chatter and help it cut better. So maybe I just need to run faster, but the thing is, if I go faster, then I kind of miss my back out point, and I don't want to break my insert. So I'm going to stay at the 90 for a bit and see how it goes. let's just see where we're at, see if this nut will start. We got to be getting close. This is the nut they gave me to go with it. Oh, right there. That was a nice fit. Still a good fit there. And there we start getting a little tight. Move the camera over. Starting to get a little tight right here. Yeah, about the middle, but still good. So I'm gonna just take one more pass, just touching, you know, not turning it in, but just touching, and try to clean up that last little tight spot, and this one's done. And it is taking a little more out of that spot where we were binding a little there, so that's good. And that's just tool pressure, so that's not turning it in at all. Well, there you have it, 24 inches of 2-inch, 4.5 thread, 4.5 pitch. I'd say that was a success, even though I've never done this before, never used a follow rest, or done anything really this coarse. So I'm very happy with the outcome, and I think this will be a repeat job. This was a sample to see if I could do it. The customer's been having a hard time finding a shop that could actually handle this stuff. So there again, the Lion comes in handy. Been a great purchase and great investment for the shop. So until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.